Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. We are in the home stretch, and today we will begin reviewing episode 3. Let's rip this apart. This episode kicks off with the BBC engagement interview. There is an important detail that I picked up in watching this footage. Someone was filming another angle of this interview that was not shown by the BBC.
Your Royal Highness, Meghan Markle, congratulations to you both.
My first question is, how did Netflix get this unseen footage? Could it be that they have been filming ever since they were in the royal family? That's a big red flag. The other detail that I thought was fascinating from this different angle was Meghan's mask slipping from this angle when the interviewer kicks off the interview by saying, Your Royal Highness, Meghan Markle.
Your Royal Highness, Meghan Markle, congratulations to you.
She literally had a knee-jerk reaction when Prince Harry was addressed as Your Royal Highness, and she was just addressed as Meghan Markle. She definitely felt anger about that because it did make her sound unequal. For a split second, those are definitely daggers shot at that interviewer. And the video starts to play some of the interview, such as, can I ask you how you guys met each other? And that's where you see the shifting of the narrative, because then they switch over to present day to where now they're backtracking in their story by accusing the BBC of essentially being forced to tell a different narrative than what they are telling now, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Orchestrated reality show. Yep. And there'll be a moment where they'll want to see the rings or show the ring.
Both of them lying through their teeth.
But yes, we weren't, so my point is we weren't allowed to tell our story because they didn't want.
We've never been asked our story.
Knowing that they're lying, it makes it easier to pick up on the behavior patterns that indicate that they're lying. As you can see, Harry can't even look at the interviewer in the face while he's telling this lie.
That's not true. That's a lie.
So Michelle Hussein is gasping on live air when she hears this news.
Say that the interview they did with Michelle was an orchestrated reality show.
Yeah, bit of a blow there. That was
by whom?
I don't know who orchestrated it. Maybe it was all Michelle's evil plan. It seemed at the time, I was relatively new to the job, and it seemed like a rather charming interview of two people very much in love and Michelle lobbing questions at them. But apparently, yes, that was an orchestrated reality show. We will find out maybe later in these programs who the puppeteers really are.
What bugs me about this is she had an opportunity to speak up and say this was not orchestrated, but she just laughed about it, which, why are people finding this funny that this woman can lie blatantly in front of the world and have no consequences to it? Part of the problem here is the public not pushing back, and that was an opportunity for a voice in the mainstream media to actually come out and say that this is disinformation and Meghan needs to correct herself. We're not even 2 minutes into the opening of episode 3, and already we're going back to talking about Diana. They really, really want us to associate Meghan with Diana, and I think it's just beyond creepy now.
Best friends with Meghan, so no, I'm sure she's
with us.
I'm sure she's with us, yeah, jumping.
They might as well just call this Harry and Diana. Don't be surprised that when Meghan decides to leave him, one of the reasons in the divorce is going to be her claims that she couldn't be his mother at the same time as being his wife. So after the opening credits, we go into being schooled in slavery. And Bookworm, if you're listening, the guy's name is David Alasoga, and yeah, he irritates the shit out of me as well.
Who dreamed that Britain would have a black princess?
Sure, why not? But guess what? Meghan ruined it for the rest of the black people. And she ruined it for Americans too. Do you think the monarchy will ever bring an American in the family ever again? No way. Way to go, Meghan, for killing the dream for so many little girls who want to be a princess. Add that to the list of achievements that you have, and it ranks right up there with that P&G commercial. So let me give you the 30-second lesson, because that's all this should have taken. The propaganda that Netflix is pushing here is trying to drill into people's heads that the monarchy is responsible for slavery. Even though, and this is something that was lightly touched upon, they were the first to abolish it. Then to contribute to this history lesson was Afua Hirsch, and she is the one who is really hammering down on her message around the Commonwealth being the British Empire 2.0. In a nutshell, she's saying that the monarchy, aka white people, have contempt for black and brown people in the UK. These two biased black historians seem to be pushing an agenda in order to bring down the monarchy by dismantling the Commonwealth. And by doing that, that opens up opportunity for other countries like US, like China, to go in and redo the same thing. In fact, China's already doing it down in South America with the countries that are no longer part of the Commonwealth. So take your racist issues and go deal with China. Let's see how they handle you.
Everything we discussed has been leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate.
而且我们也不是那样进行的。
And that's not how the way the conversation was
如
conducted.
果有诚心，咱们就用一个互相尊重的态度来进行很好的沟通。
If there is
否则这个结果就不好说了。
if there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to
也可以
continue.
坚持下来。
创造条件，创造条件。
Let's create the conditions first.
好，好。
Believers,
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
do you feel in charge?
Put on celebrating our colonial power and just how important Britain used to be.
How important Britain used to be
Globally.
What do you mean by how important Britain used to be? This guy is such a sellout. I think the palace needs to keep an eye on this guy as well. Remember, he used to work for the palace. In fact, anybody working for the Harkles we shouldn't trust. So this critical race theory lesson that we're getting, it goes on for another few minutes. And then, almost as if the Messiah has arrived,
It's when I thought, well, this is significant, was when they got engaged. Could this really be a moment in which, in essence, the royal family caught up with the rest of Britain?
mighty Meghan to save the day.
Here I come to save the day. That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way. Yes, sir, when there is a wrong to right, Mighty Mouse will join the fight. Here I come to save the day. That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way.
And throughout all this critical race theory history that we're getting, they failed to mention one important detail. And that detail was slavery actually really began with the people of Africa selling their own people. And guess what? It's still currently going on. But this is supposed to be a love story. We don't need to bombard people with facts. Next up in the episode, they bring us back to New York, November 2021. So they open with this shot of the UN on the east side of Manhattan. So we find the couple in a swanky, luxury New York City apartment. So Megxie turns to Haz and says, "Oh, H, can you DJ?" And of course, to the script, they put on a little Uncle Elton, and then H proceeds to do this cringe-worthy chair dance, in which I have definitely saved and will meme that in the future. So Meghan is here with two people that work for her, but lists them on this mockumentary as friends. She at least credited Daniel Martin as the makeup artist, but failed to acknowledge Mandana Dayani as Archwell's CEO or president. I think that that was a total bitch move on Meghan's part because she did not want a powerful female upstaging her. By doing that, she sort of knocked her down a few pegs, even though at the time she was president of Archwell. You know, some of you had mentioned that, oh, well, maybe they put it as friends because technically Meghan is supposed to be paying this woman and didn't want to come across as, you know, it being biased, of course. But here's the thing. She included James Holt. James Holt had Archwell on it. She included a consultant. It had Archwell on it. You would think ultra-feminist Meghan Markle would want to promote that she has a female CEO for Archwell, but that would mean Meghan would be lifting her up And we know that Meghan doesn't lift women up. She likes to bring them down in order to lift herself up.
How long has it been now?
Almost 10 years? Over 10 years?
Easy.
It's so sad because the whole purpose of this scene and Daniel being here is for him to express that he's been friends with Meghan for 10 years. And this is deliberate to show the audience that, yes, I really do have friends and I don't get rid of them once I am done using them. Well, you know, if you think about it, she still uses Daniel Martin because he is her makeup artist. Once she can't pay for him anymore, or she finds somebody better, believe you me, he's going to be Markle just like the rest of them. But right now, he's going to be nice. He's going to be kind because she pays his bills as well as the opportunities that probably come to him as a result of Meghan being his client. Probably has upped his business a bit. So after Daniel has served his purpose, he is gone and you don't see him again. So they cut to show Mandana working really hard. And then you see Megzy in this black outfit and her Kardashian waves.
So maybe after this we can do a little bit of prep. Just go through some of the journalists that post these accounts.
Mostly royal experts.
I want to go back to this clip. It's a beautiful day. Meghan's getting her makeup done. She's getting herself ready to be a part of the New York Times Deal Book Summit.
Elton.
And Elton, I'll take it.
I mean, our
spirits look high. Harry is singing. Meghan is laughing. I want to know what alternate universe these two are living in. Do you guys realize what date this was? This was on November 9th, and it was a live event. Meghan spoke at 2 o'clock to 2:30. Do you guys realize what date this was? This news would have broken while Meghan was getting herself together in that chair. So help me understand, how is it that the two of them remain so calm as if nothing has been going on? And on top of that, later that afternoon, Harry was preaching about disinformation and misinformation. Like, dude, both you and your wife were outed for lying about your collaboration in Finding Freedom and the outrageous and vile behavior against Thomas Markle. Whoa. It's not like they didn't see the news. They knew about it because the guy on Dealbook asked Meghan about it. So she knew she had to come prepared with a statement.
I do have to ask you one question because it's in the news.
Tell
and it's
me.
happening today.
What's happening?
There is the Daily Mail, as you know, in the UK, is appealing.
Yeah, well, you know, in terms of this, the appeal, I won the case. It's an arduous process, but again, it's just me standing up for what's right, which I think is important across the board, be it how difficult it is. If you know the difference between right and wrong, you must stand up for what's right, and that's what I'm doing.
Mandana had to have helped her with those responses because if you listen closely, she says,
So maybe after this we can do a little bit of prep. Just go through some of the journalists that post these accounts.
mostly royal experts.
if you didn't know anything about this case, like many people in the United States didn't know, you wouldn't understand that that's exactly what Mandana was talking about. What these two did next was very sly. They scripted in for Mandana to be so inquisitive about what is a royal correspondent and wanting to understand that information.
Was this one mine?
I don't understand what that means. Someone can just call themselves a royal expert.
In the flex to age. And so then Harry goes into this long-winded diatribe and rant about the British press.
That's a question for my husband. People can just call themselves royal experts.
I know, but it's the same as royal correspondent.
And I am starting to see what they're doing here now. They are framing this narrative and throwing it back onto the press for the disinformation, misinformation. As you can see, they're showing that nothing is wrong, nothing's going on, while this was huge in the UK where Meghan and Harry were both called out for lying. This is all about saving face for both of them. So at the time that this was going on, they had Netflix already scheduled to film them. So I'm sure Liz Garbus sat down with them and said, look, this is how we can spin it. This is what you're going to have to do. And this is how we're going to push this narrative. Listen to Harry's rant about the media.
A title, I suppose, that is given to a select group of journalists so that those newspapers can use them and their stories with raw correspondent as credible fact, just so that whatever the papers print can come with extra credibility.
Royal correspondent is given to a select few of journalists. But then 2 seconds later, he turns around and says this.
I mean, anyone can be a royal expert. The whole point of it is to try and lend legitimacy to media articles, and they get paid for it.
So according to Harry, anybody can be a royal correspondent. You just got to label yourself like that. Like Omid Scobie, Smelly Hall, and Jack Royston. They keep digging this hole themselves. Like, you can't say that it's us. It's coming out of Harry's mouth.
And that sort of press pack of raw correspondence is essentially just an extended PR arm of the royal family.
So while they try to dig themselves out of one hole, they begin to dig themselves into a new one. And what Harry's alluding to is this invisible contract. Remember the invisible contract that he brought up on the Oprah interview and how they have these holiday parties? Yeah, again, another lie upon a lie.
So it's been an agreement that's been there for over 30 years.
This is why Harry's hair is falling out. And we know that Meghan's deal book had been scripted because I don't think they prepared for anybody asking her if she was okay. Because when that question came up, she became obviously flustered.
Are you feeling, by the way, can I just ask you personally, are you feeling just better about everything? No, I'm serious.
She wasn't prepared to answer that question. Anyhow, this is a good place to stop part 1 of episode 3. I have to give a shout out to Lord Famous Fortunes. He's been recently doing these energy readings on these photos within the docuseries or mockumentary. Let me tell you, this last video creeped me out, but highly worth the watch because so many things that we have been saying and feeling, he's actually calling out from what he's seeing in these single shots. And it's pretty interesting. So I highly encourage you to go check it out. Also, support that channel because he is part of this community. And at 10,000 subscribers, he's going to tell the craziest all-time tarot story that he's got. So I've been waiting to hear this story forever, and he's so close to 10,000. So go check him out. If anything, his laugh is infectious. It's guaranteed a good time. Let me switch that photo because that photo of Doria will give you nightmares. I will be back soon with another review video, but until then, turn on your notification bell buttons. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
I was such a fraud.